Welcome to the April edition of Local Image. I'm Judy Skyvoss. Today's show comes to you from inside Century College in White Bear Lake, where the Tedx Mahtomedi event is unfolding. 2014 marks the second year of this local event with international ties. We'll hear more about the Tedx approach and how it may help to understand and shape the future of Mahtomedi a little later. But first, in the spirit of Easter, we travel to Tamarack Nature Center in White Bear Township for an extra special gathering of young minds pondering the great wonders of the incredible edible egg and taking a crack at answering the age-old question of what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
This class was about learning about eggs, the structure of eggs, and why eggs are important in nature. It's got little tiny holes in it. So this shell is not solid. It has tiny little holes in it. So the egg is really semi-permeable. Semi-permeable just means that it lets some things out and lets some things in, but doesn't let everything out or everything in. You know, they're very polite children, and they listen, and I think that they're absorbing some of the things that we're saying. Of course, when we started piling books up on the eggs, that really got to them.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Should I put this one on or this one on?
Big one.
Okay.
Oh.
How many is that?
That's 13.
14.
Oh, how about this big one about birds?
Oh, look at the books. The high of the books.
Whoa! That's pretty strong, isn't it? So, you know, try to give them a background of what we're talking about, and then let them go. When they actually get to do the hands-on things, that's when they really start to learn.
Well, I learned that a lot of animals besides birds lay eggs.
The shell is very hard, and it can hold about 18 bucks.
Yeah, there are little holes in the shell. It can be blue, it can be green, it can be brown, or it can be white.
The importance of this class, I think the importance for this homeschool class particularly, is that most of these kids don't know each other. So when they are getting together in classes like this is a chance for them to interact together and have fun together too, and make friends. So I look forward to these classes a lot.
The egg.
Oh, why? How do you know that? Why do you think the egg came first?
I think because the chick has to be, they would have to take otherwise that we would eat the chick.
The egg.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
The chicken.
Why?
Because how would the egg be made out of nowhere?
If the chick came first, then we would eat the chick. We would eat an animal that was already inside an egg. Because you need a chicken to lay an egg and an egg to become a chicken.
Yeah, but where does the chicken come from?
Another chicken.
But where did that chicken come
From birds.
I don't know. It's one of those things that we'll never know.
As we evolved, we came from things that were less evolved. So you go back and you go back, and we all came from single-celled creatures. So I would have to say it was the egg. Nature's perfect little container is the egg.
Tamarack Nature Center hosts events of all kinds all year long, and homeschool families like the ones featured in our story meet there on the second Friday of each month. Visit the Nature Center's website for more information. And now that we've gone the extra mile with the kids and their take on the egg, let's try to answer the chicken part of our question with the help of someone who is a great friend to the fowl. It's the first day of spring, and Les Larson treks out to his backyard without a coat and in his rubber clogs. He plans to spend some time
Morning, chickens.
with his feathered friends.
Hello, pal.
Les Larson calls himself a chicken keeper. Others have referred to him
Some
as
people have referred to me as the chicken whisperer, but I guess I have done that kind of. But
While Les may hesitate to boast about his communication connection with his chickens, his roosters tend to get a bit cocky.
that's Beep Beep. He's a Polish golden lace. When he was young, he looked just exactly like the Roadrunner on the Bugs Bunny cartoon, so I had to name him Beep Beep. I have two silkies, a black one and a white one. They only come in black, white, and brown. And they're a very quiet chicken. They're very mellow. And as you can see, his feathers are more like fur, just like a rabbit.
Les names all of his
Good boy.
chickens. That one he
come
calls
and see
Shadow
me, huh?
because she tends to follow Les around. He says when you name them, you're less likely to eat them. He names all of his pets.
I usually name them based on something they did or they look like. Like I had an iguana, and I walked in the house and my wife said, "Oh no," so that was its name. 2.5, I didn't name her for quite a while. I kept referring to her as 2.5, now that's her name. I had some funny ones too.
2.5 got her name because that's how many months old she was when he got her. Newbie is his newest pigeon, thus the name. He's slowly becoming welcomed by the other two female pigeons, 2.5 and her partner, Velcro.
The reason I named her Velcro is for the first 6 months she was around here, she wouldn't leave me alone. She'd sit on my shoulder and I couldn't get rid of her. She stuck like Velcro.
Les often welcomes
Come on,
his
baby.
pigeon friends
Come on.
into the house where his cat and 3 of his doves
These guys are
nest.
just so peaceful and so gentle. That's my girl. You can come out too, come on. They love humans. They'd rather be around a human than they would with other doves. It's Spot, and this is Jet. I have them in my office with me, and while I'm typing, they're sitting on my hand. If they're not on my hand, they're on my shoulder. Yeah, boy.
As much as Les
Yeah,
loves
but
his
they're-
doves, he
don't
has
know
a
if they'll show
sweet
off and
spot
all,
for
but
his pal
they are
pigeon
so,
called
cooperative.
Simon.
Want to come out? Come on out, buddy. Come on, pal. Wherever I go, he follows me. If I go to the back of the yard, he comes with me. If I come back in here, he comes in. Come on, buddy. That's my little boy. My little pal. He likes to be around me. He just has to be around me. And I've had him for about 5 years now. For the first 2.5 years, he was friendly. He'd land on your hand and everything, but he didn't care if I was there or not. But at about 2.5 years, one day he just looked me in the face and he stared at me for a minute or two. And ever since, he's been my closest buddy. We go everywhere together. So when we go in the car, he just gets all excited and looking at everything. He rides on the dashboard. When I park the car and I go in a store, he'll walk over on top of the speedometer on my side and fall asleep. Then when I come back, I click the remote, and he jumps up because he hears it, and then he walks back to his side, and I come in the car, and we go. I call him my remote-controlled pigeon. I can make him move.
Recently, Simon, the remote control pigeon,
That's for you.
and Shadow, the rabbit-soft chicken, took a road trip to the Oakdale Nature Center, where Les shared a chicken-keeping
Anybody
class
have chickens?
with some other birds of a feather who came together.
But like I say, I mostly have mine as for pets, and they are my RLOs. That's roving lawn ornaments. Because we go out in the yard and the chickens are just, mingling with us and doing their thing, and I think they're pretty. I like them. Are you all from Oakdale, or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you have to have a permit. And Oakdale is very generous with their permit procedure. Pretty much you just go in and ask.
The class was an idea Les hatched not that long ago, and the city of Oakdale approved, considering that chicken keeping in the suburbs is on the rise.
And they have no restrictions against roosters. It's pretty loose. I expect them to tighten it a little bit as more people get chickens, but that's pretty good.
And Les would know if the city is sitting on good ordinances or not because he has helped create them.
I'm with the Oakdale Planning Commission, and I spent about 7 years chairman of the Ordinance Committee. The city probably would rather not have anybody raise chickens. I mean, it's not in their favor, you know. But they're very accommodating and understanding, so cities do it reluctantly in many cases, but they do it. And that's another thing on the ordinances. I wrote a boilerplate ordinance for chickens that any city can use. If you do it correctly, the chickens really aren't a problem in the city. My neighbors around here, I've gone to ask them, and if their chickens bother them, and they said, no, they actually like to hear the rooster crow once in a while. Well, the key there is they don't like to hear it at 4:30 in the morning. So what I do is I keep the chickens in the coop, it's insulated, until 8 o'clock. Then the sound ordinance doesn't apply anymore, so then I let them out and they crow. And the neighbors actually said they like it.
As proud as a peacock as Les is about his roving lawn ornaments, it's his technically sound, gadget-clad coop creations that he likes to crow about.
Corrugated panel. This is solar panel to absorb the maximum heat from the sun. A lot of people buy their chickens, they put up a coop, and it turns out to be a big stinking mess, and the neighbors hate it, and the owners give up. It doesn't need to be that way. If they would just follow a few simple basic ideas in putting together a coop, all that can be avoided. For one thing, I am a great fan of this sand floor because it is so easy to clean. It never smells. The other thing is with the solar aviary, instead of spending $15, $20 a month on electricity to keep your water from freezing and to keep the chickens from freezing, the sun does it all for me. So I go all winter long keeping the coop above freezing for less than $5. That includes a supplemental heater. The heater will come on in the early morning hours when it starts to get down near freezing, and it might run for a couple times during the night, so it's nothing. And I got blowers that suck the heat, the surplus heat from the aviary. They suck it into the coop. All my nests have heaters in them, and they're all on thermostats. So they're only on when needed. I have cameras everywhere. There's 2 up there, 2 down here, the one over there, and there's one in the backyard, and there's one up by the house, and they're aimed from all directions. And then there's 2 of them in the coop itself. So I can always see everything that's going on, no matter where the chickens are, I can see them. There's some mirrors here that cover this area, and then there's a light on the thermostat for the water so it doesn't freeze. I can tell that the heater is working because the light will come on. I can see it in the mirror from my camera. I can see the gauge on the food for the pigeons. When it's right there, it's full. When it's up there, it's empty. And I can see all that on the camera. I can see the thermometers, the food, the water. I can see if they need to be cleaned or not. I can count them and make sure they're all there. No matter where we are. When we were in Mexico, 1,700 miles away, I checked them many times during the day to make sure that everything's okay. Even though my neighbor would come over and check, all she did was come in the door, look at them. If they're all here, she goes back home. She didn't need to do anything. I'm going to put this chicken down.
Les has been a gadget guy since he was a kid back on the farm. His knack for finding solutions and making things work kept him busy as a production engineer and computer programmer for UNIVAC. He even developed software for his own use as a real estate broker. He made that into a successful venture. But his heart has always belonged to nature and the animals that have brought him joy along the way.
Right in my ear. He's just so sweet. He's just my little buddy, like a cat or a dog, but this happens to be a pigeon.